Hello, everyone. Seeing as it is now 1 o'clock on the East Coast, we're going to go ahead and get started. Our featured speaker should be joining us soon. I know he's getting logged in. So thank you for joining us today. My name is Chris Soley, and I'm a webinar coordinator for the Center for Disaster Research and Education here at Millersville University. This is our second webinar in our series entitled 90%. Today we are privileged to have Mr. Charlie Woodrum, the Warning Coordination Meteorologist at National Weather Service Pacific Region Headquarters. He'll be speaking on building a weather-ready nation through preparedness programs. Charlie began his new job in June of 2016, focusing on outreach, preparedness, and decision support for the Pacific region in the National Weather Service. Pacific region includes Hawaii, Guam, American Samoa, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, Federated States of Micronesia, and the Republic of Palau. Tsunami and hurricane preparedness have been the focus of this new job. It has been an interesting summer already in the Pacific, with 3 tropical systems threatening the Hawaiian Islands: Darby, Madeline, and Lester. During those events, Charlie took on the role of Decision Support Service Coordinator and also worked aviation operational shifts to support Weather Forecast Office Honolulu. He looks forward to working more with the emergency management and other government partners moving forward in his new position. In April of 2015, Charlie became the first National Decision Support Services, or DSS, program manager. In his new position, his focus was on identifying best practices on how the National Weather Service delivers weather information to decision makers and on preparing vulnerable groups for high-impact weather events. This was an amazing opportunity for him to work at National Weather Service headquarters in Silver Spring, Maryland. During this time, he made a hard push to headquarters integration in the field. To support this push, Charlie visited 8 weather forecast offices to have integrated DSS discussions in a year and served as the acting warning coordination meteorologist in Glasgow, Montana for a month. Prior to that, Charlie was the National Weather Service Program Coordination Officer, PCO, at NOAA headquarters in Washington, D.C. The National Weather Service PCO program is a 2-year rotational assignment. In the first year of the assignment, he worked on the staff of the National Weather Service Director, Dr. Louis Uccellini. In the second year of the assignment, Charlie served on the staff of NOAA Administrator, Dr. Catherine Sullivan, as NOAA's point of contact and liaison with the National Weather Service leadership. Before becoming PCO, Charlie worked as a journeyman forecaster in Pittsford, Pennsylvania, a meteorologist intern in Wilmington, Ohio, and a student trainee in Tallahassee, Florida. In Pittsburgh, he created the office's external users team and led the office's first 2 integrated warning team workshops. In addition, Charlie pushed forward local research in radar and mentored college students. Charlie is also a co-lead for the National Lightning Safety Team and a lead on the weather safety for outdoor venues. This has included the great opportunity of getting to work on preparedness with organizations like the NCAA, NFL, and MLB. Charlie graduated from Florida State University with a bachelor's degree in meteorology, and on a side note, is a huge college football and basketball fanatic. So it is my pleasure and my honor to turn it over to Mr. Charlie Woodrum. Charlie, are you able to hear us?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're coming in loud and clear.
Okay, sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone on the East Coast. Good morning from Honolulu, Hawaii. It's 7:06 in the morning here. So I get to start my day with you guys today with this webinar series. Excited to be here. And I met Chris back at a conference at the NWA last fall, and was excited to share more information about the different preparedness programs that we have with the National Weather Service with all of you guys today. And so I'm going to take some time to go through the different plans that we have available, and these are things that as a student, or if you're not a student, as someone who's tied to meteorology, you can actually push these programs with your local communities and universities and whatever local organization you have. You can help build a weather-ready nation with these preparedness programs. So just because if you're not a National Weather Service employee, that's okay. That you don't have to be a Weather Service employee to help build a weather-ready nation. So excited to be here with you all, and we'll just get rolling here. So I'm going to go through the motivation to why we need these programs, talk about the recognition programs, particularly some lightning safety toolkits that we have that I developed, and then some of the different partnerships we have with the Weather Ready Nation Ambassadors program. So the question comes up, some might say, well, we put out warnings, we get plenty of lead time on warnings, we're putting out really good forecasts, is the U.S. weather ready? Well, I think you can look at 4 recent events here just in the last 10 years, 10, 15 years, and Sandy, Katrina, some devastating floods that happened in eastern Colorado a couple years ago, and then snow jam in Atlanta, Communicating, and you can really see that the answer is no. We can put out the best forecast as meteorologists, but if it's not communicated in the right way, and if different communities across the nation haven't prepared and built more resiliently, then really we still have the same issues that we've had in the past with tons of infrastructure damage and hopefully no fatalities, but that's still obviously an issue since we had so many with Katrina and so many with the Tuscaloosa tornado outbreak in 2011 in the southeast. And the question has come up, what can we do as meteorologists, what can we do to really help our nation get more resilient to high impact weather events? And so today I'm going to talk to you about 2 primary aspects. I'm going to focus on the communications and outreach portion of building a weather-ready nation, also hit on impact-based decision support services a little bit. But there's also 2 other pieces that involve innovative partnerships and science and technology advances. And this has to do with the actual science going in, developing things like dual polarization radar or MPAR, the multi-phase array radar that we have. So the future of where we're going and how we're communicating the science and getting the latest science so we can put out our best forecasts and communicate that information effectively all goes into building a weather-ready nation. But a really important piece to all of this is the preparedness aspect and making sure that all of our partners and organizations out there have plans for whatever that high-impact weather might be. One example I'm going to dig into a little bit is large outdoor stadiums that have been impacted by lightning over the past couple of years, and this has been an ongoing theme over the last several years. Unfortunately, in 2012, we actually had a fatality at Pocono Raceway when the race was canceled 98 laps into the race. However, the Pocono Raceway waited until the storms were already there. You can see the fans will almost always stay in the stands, even if they're asked to evacuate. If the event is still going on, fans will typically stay to watch that event, even if a storm is coming. And so, as you can see, the fans were trying to clear the stands finally, and the storm was already there with the lightning threat there. Unfortunately, in this case, there was a lightning strike outside of Pocono Raceway. Someone was killed, 9 others were injured. So it's a very realistic thing that happens, a very real threat of lightning striking. This next example was actually at a Denver Broncos and Baltimore Ravens game in Denver, and there's a couple different things to point out here. One would be that when you communicate a lightning delay, when a venue communicates a lightning delay, the messaging is so important, and really making sure that the crowd takes it seriously is very important. And this was an example where messaging was not strong enough, and there was a mixed message that really ultimately led to the fans not evacuating the stands, which is certainly unfortunate because they were in danger. Thankfully, no one was struck. But a couple things in this one. On the top left picture, you see it says severe lightning storm. Well, first of all, lightning isn't criteria for a severe thunderstorm. It's winds greater than 60 miles per hour and hail greater than an inch in diameter. Secondly, it's saying that if you look into the smaller text of that, it says, if you feel the need, take cover in a sheltered area. If you feel the need, that's not really giving a very strong indication that lightning could be deadly. So, and as you can see in the stands below that board, no one has really evacuated. On top of that, during the delay, they had the announcers standing on the field with umbrellas right on the field in danger of being struck by lightning. So if you've got announcers on the field and you're giving people the option to evacuate if they feel the need, odds are they're not going to evacuate. So it's something that we have to continue to work on with venues, is the importance of having consistent messaging and conveying a message that really indicates how dangerous lightning is. So another event that happened was actually on a day when we had a pretty major tornado outbreak in parts of the central U.S., particularly in Illinois. That day, on November 17th, 2013, a tornado came through Washington, Illinois, and killed 8 people. There was certainly the threat that day was indicated by the Storm Prediction Center they had highlighted it for several days and actually had a high risk out that day for the possibility of long-lived, fast-moving tornadoes. And the tornado watch came out, and there was a Chicago Bears game that afternoon scheduled for noon Central. And even though they were under a tornado watch, they went ahead and had the game. Storms started to push up into northern Illinois, and some tornadic with tornado warnings, and we're really getting close to the stadium, and then they waited to call for the delay. Well, thankfully there wasn't a tornado, but as you can imagine, in a worst case scenario, and the storms had the potential to develop tornadoes that day, in which many others did, that were deadly, you really got to look at this and think, wow, that's a worst case scenario. Like you wouldn't want 60, 70, 80,000 people to be in the stands when a tornadic storm is headed toward the stadium. Even if you do evacuate, where do all these people go? They're going to go in the concourse, which may not be a completely safe place, or out back into the parking lots or into the streets of Chicago. So the thing that we've been working with major national organizations to do is to look at our forecasts coming from the National Weather Service or whoever their private weather service provider is, and taking those seriously and thinking about maybe we should move the starting time of this game so we don't have to have all these fans in the stands. Of course, there's always the concern coming from these national organizations that, you know, if we evacuate or if we change the time, then, you know, our concession sales might go down, or people might not come to the game because they're fearful of the danger of being there with the weather. So it's always a balance with them of, you know, safety needs to come first and not making a buck. So another example, we in 2014, most recently, was an example where just outside of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, after a Buccaneers-Packers game, we had 2 that were struck and 7 injured when lightning struck right outside of Raymond James Stadium. And they've already had a delay there at Raymond James this year. So a nice analysis that was done by Alex Lamers, who worked for the National Weather Service in Tallahassee and now works for NESDIS at NOAA in Washington, D.C. He did an analysis that looked at the average percentage of hourly observations with thunder from noon to midnight from the time frame of the fall college football season, September to November, looking to see how many observations that came in, METAR observations that came in from the airports that had hourly observations of thunder in those time frames when college football games are typically played from noon to midnight. And if you look at this, you see the orange or closer to red, brown, darker colors show the areas where there was the most thunder observations that coming from these different locations of where there's college football games. Not a big surprise that most of the most strikes were in the southeast, generally from Arizona across the south, Texas, into Florida, which is where we see the most lightning delays and the most impacts during the college football season every year. But one important thing to point out is that every location across the United States, every football stadium has a dot and had some kind of thunder observed in that time frame. So it's certainly a threat that all stadiums have to consider during the fall football season. Alex also looked at the different thunderstorm rates of who is getting the most thunderstorms during this time frame. And at the top of the list, not a big surprise, the top 5 were all Florida schools. And again, most of the schools in this area ranged from Arizona eastward to the southeast to Florida. So that's where the most lightning strikes occurred, and you see a lot of these schools have had lightning delays in the past couple of years, and some already have had some this year. I know Florida Atlantic had a lightning delay. Speaking of delays, we've also got other schools this weekend that are postponing their games because of the impacts from Hurricane Matthew. So I know the Florida LSU game has been postponed, and so it's good to see proactive decisions. Even if, say, Gainesville isn't going to get the worst of it from Matthew, you really need to make sure the focus is on the safety, and a lot of people would be traveling in from sections of the east coast of Florida, and you don't want people out traveling to go to just a football game. So looking at the different safety programs that we have to address these challenges of high impact weather for outdoor venues and all kinds of different communities. It's not just about the outdoor venues, it's all different activities that go on. We can engage our partners with the Weather Ready Nation Ambassador Program. We can reach to them and enable them to make decisions with plans via the Lightning Safety Toolkits. You see that Wind Thunder Roars Go Indoors sign in the upper right. And also we can encourage our partners to become StormReady or TsunamiReady, which I'll talk about a little bit more here. So StormReady is a program that was developed in Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 90s to really just have a way for the Weather Service to lay out specific plans to our partners in emergency management so they can have plans to follow to ensure they have a thorough weather safety plan to make sure that they have the means of getting weather information from the Weather Service, from commercial providers, from TV, from all the different sources, but then not just receiving that information, but also disseminating it. And also understanding what the Weather Service can do as a partner of them. We have them over, part of the StormReady certification involves having the partner who wants to become StormReady visit our office, we visit theirs, and go do a check through their facilities to make sure they really are StormReady. And also we offer Skywarn spotter training for staff at that organization that's becoming StormReady so that they can really know how to identify weather and get a better understanding for what kind of actions they need to be taking based off the weather forecast. Another program that's certainly relevant out here in the Pacific where I'm at is the TsunamiReady program, another program that really helps develop plans along our coasts to make sure that communities know what to do, how to get our information, and have thought through the actions that they will take in case there is a tsunami that threatens their community. And this involves possibility of evacuations, thinking about where your tsunami inundation zones are, and communicating that with the public of knowing if people are in an evacuation zone or not, to know if the tsunami warning comes out, what are they going to do, where are they going to go. So 2 really good programs. The StormReady program, you can see the different dots all across the country of different organizations that are StormReady. The blue dots are communities. The lighter blue dots are along the coast. You can see those along the west coast are tsunami-ready communities. We've got a lot of, you'll see some green dots out there. Those are Indian tribal nations. Orange, or I think that's more of a pink, is government, military. The purple dots are universities. A lot of universities out there. You see a lot of purple dots of universities that have taken this upon themselves. And we've seen universities such as University of Alabama and Kansas State University hit by tornadoes where students were impacted, and even killed in the Tuscaloosa, Alabama tornado. So certainly a good thing for schools to be storm ready. And so then In addition to the dots in this map, you also have counties. An entire county, the county emergency management, can work to become storm ready. So where you see the more orange counties that are highlighted, those are storm ready counties. And the entire state, you'll notice the entire state of South Carolina is storm ready, and also Florida is storm ready as well. So there's a combination. Some organizations can actually become storm ready, become a weather ready nation ambassador, and have lightning safety plans. And this is Lakeland Center down by near Lakeland, Florida, down in the Tampa forecast office area. And Dan Noah, their warning coordination meteorologist down there at the Ruskin, the Tampa office, worked with them, and they completed all 3 of the recognition programs. So Lakeland Center definitely gets your gold star for having all the preparedness plans in place. They did all 3. So the next plans I want to go into are lightning safety plans that we have available for anyone to use to help develop their own lightning safety plan for whatever their organization might be. And we have them divided up. We have a plan for large outdoor venues, for lifeguards, community events, and golf courses. So we'll first dig in a little bit to the large outdoor venues. And the NCAA has guidelines, guideline 1E for lightning safety, where they actually state what NCAA venues need to do for lightning safety. I'm happy to share that in the last 2 years, they've actually changed their guidelines. In the past, they said that the stands needed to be clear by the time lightning got within 6 miles of a stadium. Well, a lot of universities took that as, well, we'll wait till lightning gets within 6 miles and we'll call for an evacuation, which was misinterpreting the rule of saying, you know, you're going to have to call for a delay well beyond 6 miles if lightning's well beyond 6 miles in order to get your stands clear by the time lightning enters that 6 mile radius. So thankfully, they've changed their guidelines and reflect more of closer to a 10-mile radius of stadiums being more proactive with calling for delays, and we're really happy to see them change their guidance. There's also the National Athletic Trainers Association position statement on lightning that they put out on what an athletic trainer can do to help their team stay safe from lightning. So this plan motivates venues to pursue a proactive lightning safety plan. It has them taking the action and not just being reactive if there's lightning in the area. Ways to monitor lightning, to know how to get that information, and to know when it's too close and when lightning really you need to take action and stop activities and go to a safe place, which is a fully enclosed structure or vehicle. So it also lays out the specifics of how to utilize it. It's an 8-page document that our venues can go through, and they can submit that when they're done completing it and inserting it into their weather safety plan. They can submit that to the National Weather Service. We'll take a look at it and review it for them. So upon positive review, we can then recognize them as completing the lightning safety toolkit, being lightning aware, and here's an example where the University of Oklahoma had completed the lightning safety toolkit. That's Rick Smith on the left there. He's the warning coordination meteorologist at the Norman office, and on the right there, that's Kevin Clazel, who works for the Department of Meteorology at Oklahoma and has done a ton of outreach and work providing forecasts and helping large venues prepare across the country, particularly in Oklahoma. Has been doing a great job with that. So I did want to share a unique story with you guys today, the Christina and Ellen Bryan story. So Christina Bryan was a very active 17-year-old. She was working out on a golf course and was very involved, very active, and was working on a golf course, and thunderstorms were moving through. So went inside to safety. The thunderstorms had moved out. The sky was starting to clear up, you know, starting to see some blue in the sky. So Christina went back out and was starting to set up the stands at the driving range of the golf course that she worked at. And when she was doing that, she was actually struck by lightning and lost consciousness for about 5 minutes. And that loss of consciousness for that long of a time, when you lose consciousness for that long, you start to lose oxygen to your brain. It really can have major lifelong effects. And unfortunately, that's been the story for Christina. She can't really talk. She has a hard time moving around. It's been a very devastating, life-changing event for Christina. And her sister, Ellen, has really tried to find a positive light in all this. And she actually ran for Miss Ohio and used her campaign was on lightning safety, and she actually pushed lightning safety all the way up. She made it to Miss Ohio and made it to the Miss America pageant and pushed lightning safety up to that level. So it was great. And they did a public safety announcement, which you can see on the right there, where they really wanted to show how devastating a lightning strike can be and how serious a lightning strike needs to be taken. So really good work by them on trying to take a negative event, but trying to put a positive spin on it to get awareness out for lightning safety. We also, related to that, to golf, we have a lightning safety toolkit particularly for golf courses. Evan Bentley, who's a forecaster in Portland, Oregon, developed this lightning safety toolkit for both golf venues and driving ranges. So they have plans to follow, to call the golfers in, to monitor the weather, because you are so vulnerable out on a golf course. Typically, lightning tends to strike the tallest object. It's not attracted to metal. That's one misnomer with lightning, is that some people think that lightning will be attracted and go to metal. It actually just tends to strike the tallest object. And since metal is a conductor, electricity can travel quickly through metal, but it doesn't actually attract lightning itself. But either way, if you're out on a golf course, you're typically going to be one of the highest points out there, by a lot of trees that are tall as well, and in danger of a lightning strike. So this lays out the procedures that a golf course needs to follow in order to be safe from lightning. And so on the right here, there's a radii chart that provides guidance for a golf manager at a golf course, a golf pro, or whoever it is that working in the pro shop that needs to decide whether or not to pull the golfers off the course. And so based off how large the course is and how far the golfers can get away from the clubhouse on the left, or a shelter, whichever it may be, you can see the distance in miles. So that goes from point 1 vertically down to 1 mile distance. And across the top is the speed of the storm that is approaching the venue. So this gives an idea of what radii you should use. If the faster the storm is, if you have, for example, bottom right, if a storm's 15 miles away, it's moving. If a storm's moving 65 miles per hour, and you have golfers that are 1 mile out on your course from shelter, if you need to call for the delay at a golf course if it's 15 miles away, and it gets lesser and lesser if the golf course is smaller and if the storm's moving slower. That's when you can wait a little bit longer. But most lightning does strike within 5 miles, cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. Within 5 miles of a thunderstorm, we have had cases between 5 to 10. And then there's also what's called a bolt from the blue, where actually a positive charged lightning strike comes out of the top of a thunderstorm and can go out to 20 miles actually before coming down. So we have seen some rare occasions where people have been struck by bolts from the blue and killed. So that's something to always consider with thunderstorms as well. We have we actually have 2 more. We have a lightning preparedness program for communities. For example, the Shenandoah Boy Scout Girl Scout camp in Virginia developed a lightning safety plan. Here's a picture of the camp where they have a plan if there's lightning, what to do with the campers there. And communities can use this, towns can use this. It's a very flexible plan. We just had plans that were submitted from the University of Iowa to address this across their campus. So really good stuff from them. We also have a plan for beach patrols and lifeguards that we developed with the United States Life-Saving Association. As you can imagine, being out on the beach, water being flat, you quickly become, if you're out on a boat or if you're out on the beach, you're quickly the tallest object out there and at risk of a lightning strike. So we worked with the United States Life-Saving Association to develop this lightning safety toolkit for beach patrols and lifeguards. So maybe you're a lifeguard during the summer, or you have connections to your local pool or beach patrol. this is something you can make them aware of to make sure they have a lightning safety plan. So we've developed a lot of great partnerships through this lightning safety plans. Anything from the International Association of Emergency Managers to the NFL to CSC, who's the event staff group, to tennis, WTA, and ATP. I've talked to them about lightning safety. We've got a great group of different organizations that have done that. And here's pictures of all these organizations. The first in the upper right, Lance Rospus, who works at the National Severe Storms Laboratory in Norman, Oklahoma. At the time, he was the meteorologist in charge in Peachtree City in Georgia, and they worked with Georgia Tech to become the first venue in the country to have a lightning safety plan. So that was really awesome stuff. And you can see other meetings to push lightning safety that occurred with the NFL, University of Maryland, Major League Baseball, the National Center for Spectator Sports Safety and Security, NCS4, and also bottom right is the United States Life Saving Association. So really good to get that recognition with the partnerships. Another really awesome plan we have out there to help build a Weather Ready Nation is signing up organizations to become Weather Ready Nation ambassadors. And you as a student, or even if you're not a student, as a community member, can reach out to your local organizations and ask them, are you a Weather Ready Nation ambassador? And it could be any different size of organization. It could be anything from a stadium to an emergency management office to a radio station to even there's one in Eureka, California that's a hair salon that's a Weather Ready Nation ambassador. So it's getting all different sizes and types of organizations to be aware of the different hazards of weather. You sign them up, they start getting weather preparedness information from the National Weather Service. It's really a good way to open the doors between the weather community and our partners in different organizations, some private organizations, to let them know what they can do to prepare for potential hazards of weather and make sure that they're serving as a force multiplier to different employees. Like you might have an employee at organization. We'll just use one for example and say Raytheon. An employee at Raytheon, they're a Weather Ready Nation ambassador, and a preparedness plan is blasted out from the National Weather Service to all our Weather Ready Nation ambassadors on what to do for a tornado safety plan. And that employee takes that and then takes it home and takes it and shares it with their family, and then they develop a tornado plan, and they have the guidance to do that. So it's really cool how the arms reach out, and you reach out to the Weather Ready Nation ambassadors, and then they reach out to people as ambassadors to help make sure that the community has plans for high impact weather. So really awesome program for different organizations to get involved with. And we've had students that have reached out to the local organizations to sign them up to be Weather Ready Nation ambassadors. So it's something you all can get involved with and help out the National Weather Service in pushing this effort. It's really a full weather enterprise effort. As you look at all these different groups that are in the weather enterprise, a lot of these groups you see at an American Meteorological Society annual meeting. Here's from the Weather Channel to the National Weather Association. We've got the Bureau of Land Management, Ball Aerospace, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, all kinds of different Earth Networks, all kinds of different organizations that have become Weather Ready Nation ambassadors. But it's not just it's not just the traditional weather partners that we're all so used to working with, but it's also the more unique partners out there, such as for example, Miss Virginia became a Weather Ready Nation ambassador. We have schools, we have the Stadium Managers Association, the Wyoming Livestock Roundup, public utilities, different universities, public health, any different organization, a park could be a Weather Ready Nation ambassador. So you really can get creative with who becomes a Weather Ready Nation ambassador. So it's a great program that we can reach out to the whole community with. So to sign them up, we have a website for the Weather Ready Nation ambassador. It's a Weather Ready Nation page, and then there's particularly a tab for ambassadors to sign up, and they can go there and apply. I have a link on our final page that shows how they can become Weather Ready Nation ambassadors. One last thing I wanted to hit, just to get back to the venues, is the importance of consistent messaging. We need to make sure that officials, the venue that's putting stuff up on their Jumbotron, stadium operations, event staff, the media, and security are all speaking the same thing and directing the spectators at the event to do the same thing. We don't want confusion, and particularly with the media, it's really important that we make sure the media is educated on what the rules are for lightning safety, what it means to have a lightning delay, and make sure that they are giving the proper information, because so many people go to their media outlets as a source for information. Maybe they're deciding whether or not they're sitting at their tailgate deciding whether or not to go in the stadium. We need to make sure that messaging is consistent with the safety preparedness that the National Weather Service is pushing. We've seen a couple of cool joint preparedness efforts through the Weather Ready Nation Ambassadors Program. The Minnesota Vikings actually developed a public safety announcement that they played at their games about winter safety. So John Sullivan, one of their football players, did a public safety announcement that's on YouTube. And also, there's also been messaging of, like you can see on that video display board in the bottom right there, of the turn around, don't drown. So pushing that. It's really nice when you get local celebrities, people that you know, the general public recognize and will listen to push weather safety messages. So, you know, we're certainly not there yet for outdoor venue preparedness and outdoor safety. There's a lot that we can do. Just these examples: Katrina with the Louisiana Superdome, LP Field with the horrible flooding that occurred in 2010 in Nashville, ice sliding off Cowboys Stadium prior to the Super Bowl and injuring people, and then also the heavy lake effect snow bands with 80 inches of snow in some areas near Buffalo, really crippling that area. So we're not there yet. But moving forward, here's a summary of all the different programs we have for lightning safety. You guys can get involved with and reach out to your local organizations with. We've got outdoor venues, beach patrols, communities, golf courses, and the boating and fishing community. We're developing a plan for them as well. So really excited to do that and have weather safety there too. So at this point, thank you all for your time. And my email address is up there. If you have any more questions, you really want to dig into working on these weather safety plans at your local area, feel free to reach out to me. All the lightning safety toolkits can be accessed at www.lightningsafety.noaa.gov, the StormReady program, stormready.noaa.gov, and then the Weather Ready Nation Ambassador program at noaa.gov/WRN. All right, at this time, thank you so much, and I can take any questions that you guys have.
Thank you, Charlie. I have a question just to start it off here. As you were going through it, I was kind of wondering if you had any advice for people in their local communities on the best way to grow and expand StormReady, Lightning Safety, or Weather Ready Nation, like within their local community.
Yeah, so what you can do is, you know, you can do some research and look at who the points of contact are for your local organizations, whatever it might be, whatever you like. A lot of times it's what you like to be involved with. For example, we've got someone out here in Hawaii who he loves to ride a bike. He loves to ride the bike, and there's a Hawaii bike share group that's become a Weather Ready Nation ambassador. Maybe you're on an intramural team and you would like to get your intramural group to have lightning safety plans. You could reach out to them. You really want to reach out to whoever the head person is for the organization, whether it be their president or CEO or any kind of primary contact, or someone who's involved with operations or emergency management, to make sure they're aware of the Ready Nation program. I mean, if you're still a student, maybe your parents work for companies that could become Weather Ready Nation ambassadors. I know of a student from Rutgers that reached out to his dad's company and gave a presentation on Weather Ready Nation ambassadors to them and provided them, and then they signed up to become a Weather Ready Nation ambassador. So you got to be kind of creative sometimes with how you get in and connect to these groups, but we certainly encourage, you know, everyone to spread the word on Weather Ready Nation ambassadors and help the National Weather Service really promote weather resiliency and safety, and making sure that all these different organizations have plans. There's so many different entities out there that we can reach out to. So whatever you're interested in, find something you like and see how you can apply weather safety to it.
Thank you. And just so everybody's aware, you can type your questions into the chat box there on the right-hand side if you don't have access to a microphone. So were there any other questions?
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, hey
Yes.
Charlie, it's Adam. I was just wondering, like, are meteorologists from NWS at these types of events? Or is that something they're trying to push forward? Or is that like,
Yeah,
are the messages from the office, or are people physically there?
that's a good question. So I didn't really touch on how we provide decision support services. When an emergency manager requests our support to emergency management, we will sometimes support large outdoor venues. We won't provide direct support to the venue itself, but we will provide safety information to the emergency manager there. So sometimes we will deploy a meteorologist at the request of an emergency manager to a large outdoor event. We provide decision support services to the Department of Homeland Security at the Super Bowl and other large national special security events such as the Democratic and Republican national conventions. So we will deploy meteorologists sometimes. We do run into the challenge of, if you're in a forecast area and you have several different universities that maybe have college football games on a Saturday and you only have so many employees, if you have multiple requests, it's hard to, we just don't have enough staff right now to send people out to all different venues. So sometimes we might just have to provide the support virtually to emergency managers. But yeah, there are some folks at different forecast offices that are going out and providing on-site support for college football games to the emergency managers.
All right, thanks.
It looks like we got a couple questions from the chat box, Charlie. Judy would like to know if you've ever seen any pushback from certain areas of the public or private sector regarding not believing in your programs or just maybe implementation in general?
I wouldn't say we've had any pushback. It's more of what can we do beyond just signing someone up to be a Weather Ready Nation ambassador? How can we work together? And so, for example, we worked with Gallaudet University to help the deaf and hard of hearing community come up with a better plan for lightning safety. You know, the term, you know, on the sign behind me here that says, "When thunder roars, go indoors." If you're deaf, that doesn't work. So the communities flagged that and said, hey, you know, we can't do "When thunder roars, go indoors." We can't hear. So can we change that? So we changed the lightning slogan for that community to "See a flash, dash inside." So Gallaudet University is a Weather Ready Nation ambassador, and that was a good example. They helped us through working together and being an ambassador, develop a public safety announcement. Now we have a public safety announcement for the deaf and hard of hearing community that's in sign language to communicate the hazards of lightning. So there are some groups that just sign up and we don't really do much. Like there isn't any follow-up action, but I think it's the follow-up action after becoming a Weather Ready Nation ambassador that truly makes these organizations an ambassador, working with us to develop plans, and having special campaigns to push weather safety. That's where being an ambassador really counts.
Very good, thank you. We have a couple others. Castle has a question. He said he's reached out to several private companies to get them involved with improving their weather safety policies, but he's often met with, in quotes, "We are a private company and we're not allowed to share that information with you." So do you have any suggestions or advice on how to reach out to these companies to help them?
Yeah, I mean, there certainly can be some issues if a private company doesn't want to share their plans. You know, that you have to respect that. But, you know, making sure they know where to get weather information from, different resources that are available to them. They know that there are plans out there. You really just want to make them aware, make sure that they're considering all the different possible things that could happen with weather and what actions they would take. We certainly can't force people to sign up, but at least increasing, even if they don't sign up, increasing their awareness of how to become more weather ready is a good thing.
And then John says, excellent presentation. Could you comment on the challenge of consistent messaging when for private companies are issuing warnings for clients, which may be at odds with local National Weather Service warnings? Case in point, what happened in Kansas this week, where the Turnpike, I believe, issued a tornado warning when they received an alert from their private meteorology agency or contractor, and the National Weather Service had not issued a warning yet.
Yeah, so it's certainly, you know, we want to come at this from a one weather enterprise perspective. So being, you know, if there's a private meteorologist that's involved with an event that the National Weather Service is also involved with, you know, we're happy to talk with them about the forecast, make sure we're sharing similar information. They'll have a different client and a different service they're providing. They're probably providing a very, very specific forecast based off of a threshold for a private company, and that they need to provide really specific tailored information based off what that company's looking for. Maybe it's if lightning gets within 15 miles, they want them to call them, and they'll take those actions. But at the same time, if we're both involved with an event, the Super Bowl is a good example. When we had it most recently in the Bay Area, you know, there was a private presence there, and there was also a National Weather Service presence, and we were talking to each other, making sure we had similar messages, because it really is about having a consistent message out there. Because when it comes down to it, we want the public to make the right decisions. We don't want there to be confusion with mixed messages, and so as much as we can work together to give that same message, we respect, you know, the private sector having, you know, specific needs they need to meet for their partners, and then we have the emergency management community and our government partners. We want to be giving them the same message, so everyone's on the same page with what actions to take and what kind of weather to expect.
Were there any other questions? Doesn't look like there's any more. So we'll conclude our webinar there. Thank you to everybody for joining us today, and a special thank you to our speaker, Charlie Woodrum. We appreciate you giving your time and help here. So everybody have a great weekend and stay safe.